You were the throat goat. That's it. You were the throat goat. Why are you making up these lies? I'm willing to take a lie detector test with her. I'm willing to go to Kansas City, Kansas, and take a lie detector test. I'm willing to go to Kansas City, Missouri, and take a lie detector test. And I want the lie detector technician to ask 10 questions. Did he want you to have his baby? Did he want to marry you? Did he want you to have his baby? Did he masturbate in front of you? Did he do drugs in front of you? Did he hit you raw? Did he go down on your funky sardine, rat infested, smelling like the worst fish tank never cleaned? Did he go down on you? Brothers and sisters,
Let's pause it right there before we get any further into the video. Today we'll be talking about Umar Johnson. He's being exposed yet again. Most recently, it was his daughter coming out talking about he's been a deadbeat. Now, one of his former, I guess, side pieces or girlfriends, I believe her name is Lene, has been going on YouTube platforms and exposing Umar Johnson. So with that being said, let's continue with the clip.
I want to address two situations. Normally, I ignore nonsense, but this is a time.
Hold up, y'all. For my longtime supporters, I almost forgot. We got to make sure we got the proof here. Yeah. Let's continue.
Time where I think I need to address the nonsense for the sake of my true and sincere supporters and FDMG donors. The first week of March, my travels took me to Sweden. I was in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden. And as y'all know, while I was in Stockholm, Sweden, my daughter, baby Smurf, she decided to quote unquote expose me while I was in Stockholm, Sweden. While I was in Stockholm, Sweden, the woman who I contracted with to care for my mother turned out to be a demon in disguise and is now.
Now let's pause it right there. Let's be mindful of the language that he's using. He said the woman that he contracted to take care of his mother. I want everyone to keep that in mind. Let's continue.
One of my top haters and detractors. So I just think it's very fortuitous that Stockholm, Sweden, and shout out to all my Stockholm, Sweden Africans. I just find it interesting that my daughter and this Kansas City hood rat, that both of them were in the works against me at the same time. Now, I do care for my mother, who I love more than anything in this world. And for those of you who care for your parents, you understand where I'm coming from. This is information that I didn't want to share, but I think it is appropriate to the conversation. And if I don't finish this conversation now, I'll finish it later because we do have some things getting done today. So, I do not know if my firstborn is still with us in the flesh or not. People have been texting me that she may have unalived herself. God forbid. I'm going to hope for the best that no such thing has happened. And I'm going to speak to baby Smurf situation in a minute. I'm going to speak to that.
Again, he's talking about his daughter that he calls Baby Smurf. There were some rumors that, again, she may have committed, attempted to end her life. Let's just say that to keep it YouTube friendly. She has resurfaced. She actually was in, I think, a psychiatric hospital. For those of you, if you're in Philadelphia or surrounding areas, I believe the hospital was called Friends Hospital, which is a psych hospital. Again, this is very, very sad that, he doesn't even know really what's going on with his daughter. They have no real relationship. He's made no attempt. And Umar thinks that all of these things are some type of coincidence. It's just that he's been finessing and getting over on people his whole life. And now it's just finally starting to catch up with him. abandoning his daughter, traveling around the world, not making it a priority to be active in her life. Then this woman that he was dealing with and having sexual relationships. Now he wants to come out and try to bash her and say the punani smelled like this, but yet out of his own mouth they hooked up on multiple occasions. So I mean, this is just it's just all this dirt that Umar has been doing is finally catching up with him, and that's the only reason why he's really speaking out because it's making him look foolish.
But I just want to lay the groundwork by saying that all of this began while I was in Stockholm, Sweden. All of this began while I was in Stockholm, Sweden. All of this began while I was in Stockholm, Sweden. So I've been taking care of my mother for the past 7.5 years. Spring of 2018. Many of y'all know that in January of 2018, after returning from my second trip to Japan and China, in January of 2018, after returning from my second trip to Japan and China, I had to stand trial with charges that were put upon me by the Pennsylvania State Board of Psychology that were motivated by YouTubian struggle streamers and Dr. Umar detractors. Y'all remember that? Well, shortly thereafter, my mother was hospitalized. My mother has multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis. Okay. She's diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. We've always known that, but it didn't begin to affect her until more recently. So, anyway, when my mother was hospitalized, I knew that I would be the child of seven who would take it upon myself to step up and take care of my mother. And after 60 days away from home, my mother finally came home the day before Baby Smurf's birthday, 2018. And I've been caring for my mother for 7.5 years.
Let's pause right there. Now, if you're been following Umar, Umar is constantly traveling from state to state, internationally, back and forth, um, every other week. So, I mean, I don't understand how he could possibly be taking care of his mother full time. That's why he gets into the situation that he does, is because he finds these random people because he's desperate, just to find some type of coverage to take care of his mom so he can travel the world and, give these same old speeches that he's been giving for the past 10 years and really, smash single mothers. I mean, that's really what it all boils down to. Get donation mothers, get donation money, get you to hit the PayPal and have sex with women. That's what Umar's MO has been for the past 10 years. Not building a school, not taking care of his mother. And that's why he finds himself in a situation where he is and where he is now, being exposed yet again.
Ever since, I have done a great job caring for my mother. When my mother came home, she was on all these meds. The doctor got her off of all the meds. When she came home, mom had different situations going on. She got off of all that. Medications no longer necessary. I'm not perfect, but in my 7.5 years, I have done a great job with my mother. And I can say that most of the time, when my mother had a situation, it was because of the aides in the caregivers. It was because of the aides in the caregivers.
Common theme with Umar Johnson, it's never his fault. He never takes any accountability. Well, maybe if you weren't traveling the world and you actually spending time with your mother, you wouldn't have to try to blame these aides and caregivers. But again, every other day or every other 2 to 3 days, you're in a different city, you're on a plane, you don't have time to take care of your mother. Again, Umar Johnson, whether it's FDMG, whether it's talking about his daughter, whether it's talking about relationships he has with women, it's never his fault. It's always someone else's fault when things go left.
And so normally, and for those of y'all who care for your parent, you know how tough it is to find decent, professional, reliable, confidential help, right? Decent, professional, reliable, comprehensive help, right? And so, let me see something here. I'm going to turn off the comments, brothers and sisters. This is the first live that I've ever turned off the comments, but I have to. There's just too much ignorance in my feed. This is the first live I've ever done where I had to turn off the comments. I just turned off the comments because I'm talking seriously and we still got idiots. So this is going to be without any comments. You can text message me if you have a question or a comment. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. You can text message me at 215-989-9858. So whenever I don't have a dependable, responsible, reliable, confidential aide to care for my mom, I cancel events because my mother always comes first. My mother always comes first. I was supposed to keynote the Florida A&M University Black Psychology Conference a few months ago. I canceled it because I didn't have anyone that I would trust to care for mother available at that time. I had to cancel Congo last week, and y'all know how much I wanted to go to the Congo. I had been waiting for that. I had to cancel because mom comes first. When I went to Sweden, there was a young lady who I met because she invited me to Kansas City to speak at an event. So her and her son drove me from Omaha, Nebraska to Kansas City to speak. I believe the event was on December 3rd, 2023. I believe the event was on December 3rd, 2023. I believe the event was December 3rd, 2023. And we had the event. We stayed in contact through text message. And ultimately, at the top of this year, maybe late last year, but if I'm not mistaken, I saw her privately 3 times inside of the same Philadelphia hotel after hours for no more than 2 or 3 hours. I repeat, I saw her 3 times in a hotel after.
So what I've been saying for some time and many others, Umar Johnson goes to these events. He's making contact with these women and then ultimately hooking up with them at a later date.
Hours for only a few hours, 3 times. There's a small chance that it was 4 times. There's no chance that it was 5 times. I'm going to repeat this. Did you need me, boss? Are you good? Okay. So I saw her 3 times inside of a Philadelphia hotel after hours for about 3 or 4 hours. That's it. The total private time she and I spent could not have exceeded 12, 15, 20 hours max total time across these 3 visits, maybe 4, but I'm almost certain it was 3. No more than 12 to 15, maximum of 20 hours. When it was time for me to go to Sweden, this young lady told me that she would not mind coming to care for my mother. I assured her that I would pay her, and I did pay her. And this is going to be important when I bring up the attorney in a minute, because I consulted with an attorney in Kansas City who told me that if I can prove that I paid her to care for my mother, then she can be charged with HIPAA violations for discussing my mother's personal, sensitive medical information without permission. So this attorney said, if I can prove that I paid her, which means this was business, this was a business transaction, you paid her to care for your mother, And although she included plenty of lies in her narrative, although she included plenty of exaggerations and fallacies and untruths in her narrative, the mere fact that she purported to discuss your mother's personal sensitive information makes her guilty of HIPAA. And if we can prove that she, in fact, violated HIPAA law by discussing my mother's business, she can be fined and she can also be jailed and she can also be prevented permanently from ever working in the human services field again. An attorney told me that. So I have to pay him, okay, the retainer fee, and he's going to pick it up from here. So she could go to jail for what she did against my mother, discussing her personal business. I thought parents were off limits. I thought parents were off limits.
Again, Umar's trying to craft the narrative to make himself the victim. On one hand, he tells us he only seen this woman 3-4 times at a hotel in Philadelphia. Now he's going on to say that this woman was a caregiver um, that took care of his mother, which makes no sense because I mean, if she was caregiving for your mother, then there had to be a point in time when she came back to the house or wherever Umar's mother is staying at and they would run into each other. So it had to be more than 3 or 4 encounters. So he's trying to make it seem like she was just some jump off side piece that they hooked up at the hotel and that was it. When there's clearly much more going on here.
I thought parents were off limits, but I guess when you that trifling, when you that low down, when you're that deceptive and manipulative, nothing is off limits. So anyway, brothers and sisters, she said, I can care for your mother. She won my confidence. I said, let's do it. So she cared for my mother twice. The weekend I was in Eastern Michigan University, that was 3 nights. And she cared for my mother for the week that I was in Stockholm, Sweden. I believe that was 5 or 6 nights.
Again, we already can expose that Umar has been a liar because he said that, again, they only met 3, maybe 4 times at a hotel in Philadelphia. But now he's telling you that on 2 separate occasions, she took care of his mother while he was out at speaking engagements. So if this is in fact true, which Umar is confirming, she had to at least be there until Umar came back to take over taking care of his mom. So it had to be more than 3 or 4 times. So he's already being deceptive about the relationship between him and this woman.
Okay. Eastern Michigan University, Stockholm, Sweden. I paid her both times. She never spent time with me in my mother's house because I don't spend time with women in my mother's house. Business is business, personal is personal. I got her a hotel. I Ubered her over to the home. When she got to the home, I went over instructions with her. I went to the airport. When I got back from both trips, I Ubered her to a hotel. And then she flew out. I paid for her flight. I paid for her hotel. Business was business. Personal was personal. So after returning from Sweden, I was very disappointed in the care that my mother was given. After returning from Sweden, I was very disappointed in the care that my mother was given. I'm not going to go into detail over the egregious lack of regard and concern she displayed for my mother. I'm not going to go over that. That's too personal. But I was very disappointed and I was guilty. Whenever my mother isn't properly cared for, I take on that shame. I take on that blame. But I said to myself, you can never use this woman again to care for your mother. So I began to distance myself from this woman. So let me back up again. She saw me 3 times privately. She cared for my mother 2 other times. 5 total contacts. 3 of them were private. Brothers and sisters, without being too vulgar, those 3 private contacts basically consisted of her gummy bearing my shango. She gummy beared the Shango. That's basically what she did. It was a jump off. Hood rat jump off. That's all it was. Fellatio. 3 fellatio sessions. I came to visit. She wanted to please the Prince of Pan Africanism. So it happened. 3 fellatio sessions. I'm not proud to say that. And then, of course, quote unquote caregiver. I put caregiver in quotes because she did anything but care for my mother. Anyway,
Question. So if she was such a bad caregiver, why did she have a second opportunity to take care of his mother? Make it make sense, man. Something ain't adding up. If she was this terrible of a caregiver to your mother, there was 2 occasions that he admitted she took care of his mother. So after the first occasion, if she was so bad, why did you invite her back for a second time? Doesn't make sense.
this was the first week of March, Sweden. I come back from Sweden. I'm disappointed. Can't work with this woman no more. Can't take care of my mother. I can't mess with you. I started to distance myself from her. On June the 25th, the last moon that we had, I do my Art of Dialogue interview. I'm coming out of my Art of Dialogue interview and my phone is blowing up. There's a woman on Pastor Bussy's page claiming that y'all was in a 2.5 year relationship, that you were in love with her, that you wanted to marry her, that you wanted her to have your child. You were in a 2.5 year relationship with her. You were in love with her. You wanted to marry her. You wanted her to have your child. You were in a 2.5 year relationship with her. You wanted to marry her. You was in love with her, and you wanted her to be your wife. Brothers and sisters, I have women who look way better than her, who have done more for me in my life than she ever could, who I wasn't in love with, who I didn't want to make my wife, who I didn't want to have my baby.
Well, you've never been married, so you haven't made anyone your wife. I mean, you only had multiple baby mamas.
So this woman, this Kansas City thought, this Jezebel,
She's a thought, she's a Jezebel, she's a hood rat, but you hooked up not one, not two, not three, but possibly 4 times. Come on, man, make it make sense, man.
this jump off, this smash and grab, spent 3 times with me, not 3 nights, because I never spent the night. I never spent the night with her in my life. I never spent a night with her in my life. I saw her 3 times. And 3 times, all of which, if I'm not mistaken, were during the first quarter of 2025. 3 times, and I'm in love with her. 3 times, I want to marry her. 3 times, I want her to have my baby. 3 times, and we were in a 2.5 year relationship. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. But it gets worse. She told Pastor Bussy,
And then when he says Pastor Bussy, he's referring to Lenore Honor or Lennon Honor. Because he's what really is he's mad because this woman, I believe name is Lene, went on Lennon's platform and exposed Umar, the junkiness of the house that him and his mother live in, um, how questionable the care that she was getting, some of the decisions that Umar was making regarding his mother. He's upset that that's been exposed, and he was going on Instagram tangents, exposing pictures that this woman sent to him, uploading text messages. He was literally crashing out during that live.
she told Pastor Bussy, and let me say this about Pastor Bussy, Rainbow Bunny. Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny, has been cyber stalking me for 10 years. People have asked me to put a stop to him legally. I had 2 attorneys who sent him cease and desist, and he did not cease and desist. Those attorneys did not live in Utah where he lives. Those attorneys did not live in Utah, so there was no follow up. I recently consulted with a Utah attorney who told me I have a serious case against Pastor Bussy the Rainbow Bunny, but I'm going to have to fly out to Utah a couple times to appear in court. So this attorney told me that if I give him the retainer, he will begin the investigation on Pastor Bussy. And after looking at Pastor Bussy's YouTube page, he says he is quite certain that I have a case for slander, I have a case for libel, I have a case for defamation. And he also said because he's been making money off of my name for 10 years, that he can be made to pay me back all the money that he made in my name, and that we can lay siege to any property that he owns. I told him that the man is broke. He don't have any property. He basically pays his bills by making Dr. Umar defamation films. He said, well, if that's the case, if he has a job, then his wages can be garnished until he satisfies the balance of the settlement from court. So, brothers and sisters, I have finally realized that I have to have a Dr. Umar defense fund. I have to have a Dr. Umar defense fund. And the reason I have to have a Dr. Umar defense fund is not because I have to defend myself. I have to have a Dr. Umar defense fund so I can file suit against people who think it's okay to constantly slander my name and attack my mother. Attack my mother. Attack my mother. So, brothers and sisters, this woman told Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny, the YouTubian struggle streamer, she told Pastor Bussy that I went down on her. Brothers and sisters, I'm willing to take a lie detector test. Brothers and sisters, I'm willing to take a lie detector test. Brothers and sisters, I'm willing to take a lie detector test. When that woman, after gummy bearing my Shango stick, that woman took off her underwear, and I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, and I don't mean no disrespect to feminine energy. I don't mean no disrespect to feminine energy. I don't mean no disrespect to feminine energy. When she took her underwear off, brothers and sisters, she smelled like something crawled up inside of her and died. She smelled like an old fish tank. You ever smell a fish tank that somebody ain't cleaned in like 2 years? They got goldfish in there. They got all kind of fish, and it ain't been cleaned in years. That's what she smelled like.
Let's pause it right here and let's break this down. So supposedly they were hooking up and she had an odor coming from the punani that was so strong and so pungent. It smelled like a fish tank that hasn't been cleaned in some time, according to Umar. But again, by his own admission, they hooked up 3 to 4 times after that. So why would you, after that first encounter, with that smell, continue to hook up with a woman who, if she's not taking care of her feminine hygiene, why would you want to be one? Why would you continue hooking up? And two, if a person can't take care of their own feminine hygiene, why would you hire this woman to take care of your mother and ultimately her needs? Again, see, the thing about what Umar is, he always tries to make other people look like they're the problem, they're the issue. But when you let him talk long enough, you realize none of this stuff really makes any sense what he's saying. Again, if this woman could not even take care of her own feminine hygiene, one, why would you continue hooking up with her? And two, why would you want her to care for your mother? Makes no sense.
When she took off those funky ass drawers, Her drawers were so old and so funky that I thought it was a wife beater. That's how stretched out her drawers was. Her drawers were so old and so funky, I thought her underwear was a slingshot. Her drawers were so funky and so stank, brothers and sisters, that I thought it was a wife beater, brothers and sisters. And I don't mean no disrespect. So when she said, it's my turn, after she got finished swallowing the Shango, she said, it's my turn. After she got finished swallowing the Prince of Pan Africanism, she said, it's my turn. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, how do I get out of this? Because it ain't no way under God's heaven that King Kong consciousness face, nose, tongue, lips, ears, or hairline is going anywhere near that cootie cat. Brothers and sisters, listen. Brothers and sisters, listen. She told Pastor Bussy that I went down on her. I'm willing to take a lie detector test. I am willing to take a lie detector test.
We're gonna pause it right there. Um, Umar is a hell of a storyteller, man. He knows how to make himself look like a victim, but when you break it down, it just doesn't make sense. Again, I'm not saying that this woman may have not been telling lies, may have not been embellishing. Maybe Umar um, did want to stop dealing with her, and now she feels some type of way and coming out and expose him. But to say that this woman wasn't upkeeping her feminine hygiene, but yet you continue to deal with her doesn't make sense. Because I mean, if a woman is not taking care of her punani, why would you want her to put her mouth on your shango stick? Again, it doesn't make any sense. And for you, by your own admission, to hook up with this woman 3 to 4 times and then have her take care of your mother not once but twice, and then try to turn around and say that she was a terrible aide, something is just not adding up. Honestly, I think Umar Johnson is just upset and bitter that he's being exposed by various people. Like again, what was one thing when you had people on YouTube that's calling him out with FDMG and that school scam? I mean, going over 6.5 years, still no real progress. But now you have his own daughter calling him out, essentially saying he's a deadbeat. He's never been active in her life. Now you have someone who has close relationships with Umar Johnson, pretty much confirming a lot of things people have been saying. He's a hoarder. He's very messy. We've seen that when he exposed himself when he turned his own camera around in his apartment and then tried to lie and say, "Oh, I was moving to Wilmington, Delaware." That's the cause for the clutter, um, and exposing how they live. It's just not sanitary conditions and not safe conditions for his mother. But yet he wants to pretend and make people believe that he cares about his mother so much. If you cared about your mom so much, why don't you pull back on some of these speaking engagements and take time to be with her? I mean, years ago, Umar Johnson said he was going to been pull back from these same old tired speeches that he's been giving for the past 10 years to focus on FDMG. Why not do the same and focus these energies on your mom? I mean, again, he lives in Philadelphia. The school is in Wilmington, Delaware. It's not that far. Maybe you can get someone to cover for 2, 3 hours while you're up at the school trying to handle business. But again, Umar Johnson's priority is not the school, it's not his mother. It's going around living off the dollars of his donations from his supporters and sleeping with women. As you see, he goes to these different cities, he meets women, then they have they talk on text, and then he winds up flying them out. Who do you think is paying for this stuff? The donors. Who do you think is probably paying for the care for his mother? The donors. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.